Hello and welcome to Steel and Stone Afrikaans. Today we are talking about words surrounding the topic of city, location, work, and things like that. So I have the word list here that we'll work through, and then we'll move on to a comprehension test and things like that. So let's go through these words. The first word is church, and the word for church is kerk. So we'll do a few basic words and then we'll move on to example sentences as well. The second word is bank, and the spelling is exactly the same, but the pronunciation is different. In Afrikaans, it is bank, bank. The next word is hospital. In Afrikaans, it is hospitaal. So take note of the longer A sound and where the emphasis is. In English, it's hospital, but in Afrikaans, it's hospitaal. So the emphasis is on a different syllable. So that's a very important thing to get right and try and do it as we go, because nothing gives you away as much as putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable. That's a dead giveaway. The next word is the word for factory, which is fabriek. Fabriek. The next word is university. Universiteit. Universiteit. So this is like a W Afrikaans sound, a V. Universiteit. The next word is the word for store, which in Afrikaans is winkel. Winkel. The next word is street, which is in Afrikaans straat. Straat. The next word is the word for film or movie, and in Afrikaans you can say film. Notice the difference. Film, film. But you more commonly do the translation for movie, which in Afrikaans is flick. Flick. But both will be understood. The next word is the word for doctor, which in Afrikaans is dokter. So take note the first syllable is pronounced slightly differently. Doctor, dokter. It's a more closed mouth O. Dokter. The next word is secretary, which in Afrikaans is normally pronounced as the female version, secretaresse. Secretaresse. The next word is the word for theater, which on its own, I think the best pronunciation is theater. We will come across the translation for movie theater, which in Afrikaans has its own word, bioscoop. Bioscoop. When we get to the comprehension test, we'll talk about that. Next word is restaurant, which is restaurant. So slightly different pronunciation and spelling if you want to be aware of the spelling. Restaurant. So this is an U sound. Regardless of how it's spelled, it's an U sound. The OU is normally not a sound like that. The OU is an O sound. So don't worry about the spelling as much as the pronunciation. Restaurant. Restaurant. U. And the next word is office, which is kantoor. Kantoor. The next word is telephone, which in Afrikaans is very similar. Telefoon. So notice the pronunciation. Telephone, telefoon. The next word is number, and in Afrikaans that is nommer, nommer. The next word is tree, which in Afrikaans is boom, boom. The next word is branch, which in Afrikaans is tak, tak. 3 more to go before we move on to words with example sentences. The next word is leaf, which in Afrikaans is blaar, blaar. Long A sound there. Double A is always going to be a long A sound. The next word is flower, which in Afrikaans is blom, blom. Last word in this little group is grass, which in Afrikaans is gras. So even though the spelling here looks very similar with the absence of the second S, the pronunciation is very different, I would say. Grass, gras, gras. So at first you might have trouble with this G and R combination, the two most difficult letters to pronounce in Afrikaans, but focus on them, overemphasize them in the beginning, and it should get better. Gras, gras. So let's move on to words with example sentences. I'll put the English list on the left here and scroll up a little. The word for market is mark, mark. So take note the R, don't say mark, mark, r. Our example sentence: there is a fresh vegetable market close to the bank. Daar is 'n vars groentemark naby die bank. Daar is 'n vars groentemark naby die bank. Now in Afrikaans we have a tendency to put words together and make a new word from them. Vegetable market, groentemark. But to put them together, groentemark. The next word is hotel, and in Afrikaans that is hotel. So we pronounce this O as an U, hotel. Example sentence: the hotel is not far from the theater. Die hotel is nie ver van die theater nie. Die hotel is nie ver van die theater nie. Next word is pharmacy, which in Afrikaans is apteek, apteek. Let's look at our example sentence. There is a pharmacy next to the hospital. Daar is 'n apteek langs die hospitaal. Okay, so let's continue. Our next word is the word for apartment, which in Afrikaans is woonstel, woonstel. This word comes from two words. Woon is to live, and stel is set. So a set of places to live, a woonstel. Our example sentence: my apartment is close to the university bookstore. My woonstel is naby die universiteit se boekwinkel. So we would have a se here. It just sounds better saying the university's bookstore. Die universiteit se boekwinkel. Next one is the word for start, which is begin, begin. The start of the film is at 7:30. Die begin van die fliek is 7:30. Now, 7:30 you could also say as half ach. Half ach. It's halfway to 8. So in Afrikaans you could say 7:30 or you could say half ach. Die begin van die fliek is half ach. And that's very common to say it like that. The word for end is einde. Einde. Our example sentence, the end of the film is at 9:45. Die einde van die fliek is 9:45. Now, just as you would say in English, the end of the film is at 9:45, you can also say that in Afrikaans, and people do. Die einde van die fliek is 9:15. A quarter before 10. 9:15. Let's go to the next one, which is the word for park. Has the same spelling in Afrikaans, but a different pronunciation. Park. Park. There are trees and flowers at the park. Daar is bome en blomme by die park. Daar is bome en blomme by die park. The next word is the word for work, which in Afrikaans is werk. Werk. So if you want to say an example sentence like the men were at work in the factory or the men were working in the factory, the Afrikaans sentence would be die mans het gewerk in die fabriek. Because it's past tense, it's now het ge and then the verb. Die mans het gewerk in die fabriek. The next one is the word for rest, which in Afrikaans is rus. Rus. The weekend is a good time for rest. Die naweek is 'n goeie tyd vir rus. Die naweek is 'n goeie tyd vir rus. So at the start, I separate these words with a little space there because one ends in an R and the other one starts in an R. So even in the more natural pronunciation of the sentence, you would say, die naweek is 'n goeie tyd vir rus. I separate them to make sure I pronounce the R correctly. Die naweek is 'n goeie tyd vir rus. Building is the next word, and that in Afrikaans is gebou. Gebou. This is a city school building, translates to hierdie is 'n stad skoolgebou. So often in Afrikaans you take the word for school and the word for building, skool, gebou, and when you say school building, you just make one word of these two, skoolgebou. Hierdie is 'n stad skoolgebou. The next word is the word for address, which in Afrikaans is adres. Adres. His address is 230 Market Street, Chicago, Illinois. Sy adres is 230 Market Straat, Chicago, Illinois. So I leave the names the same, but the word for street changes to the Afrikaans word for street, straat. Let's look at some seasons. The word for spring in Afrikaans is lente. Lente. Spring is from March 21st to June 20th. Lente is van 21 Maart tot 20 Junie. Lente is van 21 Maart tot 20 Junie. The next one is summer. Somer. Somer. Summer is from June 21st to September 20th. Somer is van 21 Junie tot 20 September. Somer is van 21 Junie tot 20 September. So these sentences, because of the numbers 21 and 20 that have so many G's in them, these sentences are good practice sentences to make sure you pronounce these words correctly and end the words with the G correctly. The next one is fall or autumn, and the Afrikaans word is herfst. Herfst. Fall is from September 21st to December 20th. Herfst is van 21 September tot 20 December. Herfst is van 21 September tot 20 December. Winter is the next one and has the same spelling but a different pronunciation. Winter. Winter. Winter is from December 21st to March 20th. Winter is van 21 December tot 20 Maart. Winter is van 21 December tot 20 Maart. Alright, let's move on to the rest of our words. The next one is living, which in Afrikaans is levendig. Now, depending on if it's describing something else, you would attach a little and then it becomes levendige. So if you would say the man is living, you would say die man is levendig. If you would say, like in our example sentence, English is a living language, you would say Engels is 'n levendige taal. Engels is 'n levendige taal. So it changes slightly depending on the use of the word. The next one is dead, and the same thing happens here. The word for dead is dood. If you want to say the man is dead, die man is dood. If you would want to say, as in our example sentence, Latin is a dead language, where dead applies to something else, then the word changes a little bit to dooie. Dooie. Latijns is 'n dooie taal. Latijns is 'n dooie taal. The next word is open, which in Afrikaans is oop. Oop. The bank is open from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Die bank is oop van 10 uur tot 3 uur. You can also say, as you would in English, the bank is open from 10 to 3. Die bank is oop van 10 tot 3. The next one is closed, which in Afrikaans is toe. Toe. So take care of the pronunciation. Toe. A nice short oo sound. Example sentence: the bank is closed after 3 o'clock. Die bank is toe na 3 uur. I want to focus on this pronunciation. 3 uur. 3 uur. Open mouth, more closed mouth. I, u. I, u. 3 uur. It takes some getting used to, but focus on these little things from the beginning and they'll never be overwhelming. The next word is wonderful, which has two forms, same as living and dead. Wonderlijk, wonderlijk, or wonderlijke, wonderlijke. If you want to say something is wonderful, then you would use wonderlijk. If you want to say it was a wonderful summer day, then you would say dit was 'n wonderlike somersdag. Dit was 'n wonderlike somersdag. Let's go to the opposite of wonderful, which is terrible. And the word for terrible is verschrikkelijk. Verschrikkelijk. Now break this down so you can pronounce it correctly. Verschrikkelijk. Verschrikkelijk. Last winter was cold and terrible. Last winter was koud en verschrikkelijk. Now this would change too if you want to say it is a terrible winter. Then you would say dit is 'n verschrikkelijke winter. The next one is lucky, which in Afrikaans is gelukkig, the same word for happy, gelukkig. He is very lucky that she is his wife. Now remember that she in Afrikaans is sy, and his in Afrikaans is also sy. So the sentence would be, hy is baie gelukkig dat sy sy vrou is. This first say is she, and the second say is his. And it might seem a little confusing because the is, isn't in between. Hy is baie gelukkig dat sy sy vrou is. Let's move on to the word for broken, which in Afrikaans has two different words that are commonly used, gebreek or stukkend. Stukkend. If I want to say there was a broken branch on the tree, daar was 'n gebreekte tak aan die boom. You could also say daar was 'n stukkende tak aan die boom. They're used just as often as the other. The next word is post or mail, and the Afrikaans word is pos. Pos. Our postman is still at the post office. Ons posbode is nog steeds by die poskantoor. To see how these words are constructed: postman, posbode, not postman. That doesn't sound right. And post office is poskantoor. The next one is the word for sorry, which in Afrikaans is jammer. I am sorry, but the bank is closed. Ek is jammer, maar die bank is toe. Ek is jammer, maar die bank is toe. The next word is both. In Afrikaans, that has two words as well, albei or albei. Albei, albei. An example sentence is, my two friends were both at work. My twee vriende was albei by die werk. And you can also say, my twee vriende was albei by die werk. They are equally common. Next one is kind of. A kind of something. In Afrikaans, soort. Soort. Our example sentence, what kind of book is this? Watse soort boek is hierdie? Watse soort boek is hierdie? The next one is the word for now, which in Afrikaans is no. No. We are at school now. Ons is nou by die skool. You can also say ons is by die skool nou, but though it sounds fine, I think the more common way to say it is to put the no over here. Ons is nou by die skool. The next one is the word then. It has two words in Afrikaans depending on how the then is used. In this example sentence, he was in Japan in 1991 and I was in Mexico then. This use has the Afrikaans translation to. Hy was in Japan in 1991 en ek was toe in Mexico. The other use of then, where you would use dan, is an if-then sentence. For example, if it rains, then the grass gets wet. That sentence in Afrikaans would translate to as dit reën, dan word die gras nat. As dit reën, dan word die gras nat. Let's move on to position or location words, I suppose. Across in Afrikaans is oor or oorkant. There is a good restaurant across the street. Daar is 'n goeie restaurant oorkant die straat. The next one is together. My feet are together. Now, depending on the use of together, you have two Afrikaans words as well. Now, I understand that this list might become confusing. It's long, and I have two Afrikaans words for a single English word sometimes, but I want to be as thorough as possible where it is necessary to know these words. And as you do it, as you read, as you speak, as you listen, it will become more natural when to use which one. I try and explain them as best I can, but the best way is just to learn through experience. I would say that the word bymekaar is used more when I'm emphasizing the location. My feet are together. My voete is bymekaar. If I want to just say we are together, doesn't matter where, we're just together, then I would use saam. Ons gaan saam, or that's for the sentence, we're going together. Ons gaan saam. We are together. Ons is saam. The other one is apart. There I would have two words, weg or uitmekaar. My hands are apart from each other. Emphasizing the location. My hande is uitmekaar. And here it sounds better, more natural if you attach a little uit at the end as well. My hande is uitmekaar uit. But I wouldn't worry too much about that one. Both sound, with and without it, they sound equally valid. You can also have an example sentence like we are far apart, which could translate to ons is ver van mekaar af. Or you could say ons is ver weg van mekaar. We are far apart from each other. The next word is the word for up, and we're almost at the end of our lesson. Up in Afrikaans is op. His right hand is up. Sy regterhand is op. Sy regterhand is op. Down, af, af. His left hand is down. Sy linkerhand is af. Sy linkerhand is af. And the last word is must, which in Afrikaans is moet. Moet. You must be here before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Jy moet hier wees voor 8 uur môreoggend. Jy moet hier wees voor 8 uur môreoggend. So that concludes our list of new words surrounding location and city and streets and things like that. It may be confusing in parts, but try and memorize these words and take note of the example sentences. When we get to our comprehension test, we see these words used more, and as we use them, as we see them, it will become easier. Until next time.